shut up, you Americans. You always talk, you Americans. You talk and you talk and you say, let me tell you something, and I just want to say this. Well, you're dead now, so shut up.
There isn't a government on this planet that wouldn't kill us all for that.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, August 7th, 2019 AD. Anno Domini, yeah, the year of our Lord, as it were. And welcome to Uncle Benny's Creepy Campfire Stories, the Sludge Report project, a side project, where we frame the evil, goddamn lies coming at us every day. Don't go, hey, don't come back here. That word is not a bad word. There are those who will be damned, yeah? Damned, doomed. Just think of it as doomed. They're doomed. They're doomed liars who put mind control, spin, misdirection, propaganda, manipulation. Why? For dominion, control, humiliation, subjugation, and destruction, really. There are those who love death, Bible say. So here we are, another morning, and it's going to come at you today, one way or the other. Maybe you'll get yourself a news-free day if you go to the beach and don't turn on your radio all the way there. You don't talk to anybody. You don't listen to anybody's boombox on the radio having a news break. Maybe you can escape it for a day or so, but it's nearly inescapable unless you're a child. The Bible say, make yourself as a child. Anyway, there's a lot to talk about. You might even notice I have a lot of tabs pulled up. I really want to whip through this. I am running on not very much sleep, and we need our rest. We need to be balanced. We need to balance life. And one aspect of that is tipping the scales of those who seek to control us, destroy us, which is what is called here in this land the mainstream media, and even, by the way, the quote-unquote alternative media. Basically, media in general. You must take heed that no man deceive you. No man. Not me, not your pastor, not your professors in college, not your doctor. Did you ever think about that? Not your pharmacist. No man deceive you. This is the age of deceit, the age of deception, because it's the end days. It's the end days. Whether it's the end of the world as we know it, which it is, by the way, I assure you, or whether it's just your end days. I'd say if you've got 40 years left, you're in the end days, aren't you? Well, most of you listening to this maybe don't have that much time. So anyway, we need to, before we traffic in this theater of the absurd, and it is, we need to put on the full armor of God. Well, I already referred to Matthew 24 when the disciples asked the master what will be the sign of his return. His first admonition was, take heed that no man deceive you. So we're here to do that, right? let's just traffic in the light for a minute. Okay? Proverbs, book of wisdom here. Proverbs 15:3 says, "The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and good." You meditate on that, realize that he goes before and behind. He's the Alpha and the Omega. He sees the wicked and their doings. He holds them in derision. He sits in the heavens and laughs because he knows that their day is coming. We've talked about that. In the same chapter of Proverbs, in chapter 15, "The way of life is above to the wise, that he may depart from hell beneath." Well, there's applications there from the hell of this world that we're living in. And make no mistake, there's a hellishness. There's a loss of God. There's darkness. There's torment. There's fear. Heaven and hell being a completely different subject theologically to talk about what that is, what it means, what that's going to be for people, for demons, for Lucifer himself. But that's not the focus here today. The way of life is above to the wise. We look to the hills, from whence cometh our help. The mountains of the Lord. The way of life is above to the wise. The way of life. There are those who seek death. They feed on death. They feed on doom, gloom, and destruction. There are those, even the maybe we could say peons, the average Joe, the average Jane, feed on death, whether it's their horror movies, their Law and Order type of shows, the news. And there are those also who feed on death who, on some level, they like watching a train wreck or a car accident. I should stick to car accident. Like going to NASCAR or the Indy 500 or something like that. And really the exciting part is when there's a crash. There's a bit of delight in that. It's exciting, But the way of life is above to the wise. In Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 8, and again, I'm not correcting any King James. If I'm conserving my resources and energy here, deal with it. Just deal with it. "If thou seest the oppression of the poor, and the violent perverting of judgment, and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter, for he that is higher than the highest regards." And he's higher than they. There be higher than they. From righteous angels, the Holy Spirit, the Son of God, and God the Father. He's higher than the highest power on this earth. The pinnacle of power on this earth is Lucifer. He's the hand in the puppets. And then there's the flesh and blood. Under Lucifer, there's the fallen angels. There's demons even. And these are realities. We're dealing with reality here. Interestingly enough, the closer we are to reality, the more quote-unquote supernatural things are and seem. The Master said that if the people didn't praise him, that the rocks would cry out. I don't think he was kidding. He made water to flow forth from a rock at Horeb for the Israelites in the middle of a desert. You can see that rock today. Have you ever seen it? I've been a little bit amazed at people have never seen the rock of Horeb and the clear erosion from water where it was split, and all around is where the Israelites camped. It's plain, those have eyes to see. So again, we're having a little sermonette here. A sermonette, maybe there's a better word for it. An exhortation, edification. A balm. There is a balm in Gilead. And the balm is the word of God. It's the Lord. For the word is the Lord. In the beginning was the word. And the word was with God, and the word is God. For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision. Oh, what's that mean? They of the circumcision. Who are those? Well, that would be, back then, the Judaizers, the Jews. Every Jew? No. Use your brain. Let's say these days anyway, and I'm going to try to come up with a right description. Now, Talmudic Babylonians, maybe. Talmudians, something like that. The ones who came back from Babylon and their God is traditions of men, the mystery religions, and the Talmud, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things they ought not for filthy lucre's sake. You know, we know the Bible say that the love of money is the root of all evil. Most people say money is the root of all evil. Where do they get that idea? It's not true. It's the love of money. Their mouths must be stopped. Now, where are the mouths now? Who speaks into your living room? Who speaks into your heart and mind? It's your television. Now it's your phone and your internet on your computer. Whether you're listening to some false teacher like, I name names. Let's see. Benny Hinn, or let's see, John Hagee. Oh, did you just get upset? John Hagee, is that your sacred cow? Yeah, that guy. Disgusting. Disgusting Zionist sicko. And I don't want to fat shame the guy, but he's a massive man. You got to wonder. Now, he's an excellent speaker. He has talents and gifts, but who energizes him? What spirit energizes him? Anyway, that's a sidetrack. I don't need to get into that. That's something that, there's plenty of information on that. If you're like, well, I don't think he's a false teacher, is he? Is he? Yeah, well, there's certain things. Okay, so whose mouths must be stopped. We're here to stop the mouths. We're here to stop the lies, cut through the darkness, right? Cut through the darkness, pierce the darkness. And, the thing I didn't make a video yesterday. You got to take a break from this stuff. Honestly and truly, I would love to really put together it'd be a full-time job though. Put together a fantastic presentation, make sure I unturn every stone, make sure it's polished and carries people through, that's very accessible, that I even have at least an outline and some scripted things to keep things on track and focus and just going just perfect, because this brothers and sisters, live without a net. It's pretty much improv. I do a little preparation. I pull up some things to talk about. I pull up some of the word again, it's the thing that will protect us from the fire. When the 3 Hebrews were thrown into the furnace, and then the furnace was made 7 times hotter, they didn't die. There was a 4th man in the fire. It was the Son of God. Even the unbelievers said, and the idol worshippers said, there's a 4th man, he looks like the Son of God. And then when they came out of the fire, it was so hot that the people who stoked the fire hotter got close to make it hotter, and they died. It's that hot. And when they came out of the fire, they didn't even smell like smoke. So make no mistake, you and I, brother and sister, we're in the fire. The world's on fire. World's on fire. It's burning. It's burning in lust. It's burning in sin. It's burning in imminent judgment. It's coming. All of creation groans for the revelation of the sons of God, which would be you and me, to come forth. Anyway, let's move into some of the news here quickly. So we've had these these alleged mass shootings, and some more things have come out. They can't quash all of it. It used to be the reason they have had this crackdown on social media places like YouTube, scrubbing and changing algorithms, subverting people's searches for things, because the goyim know. People can see through. There's a great saying: you can fool some of the people all the time, all of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all of the time. So there are people who aren't fooled, and may you be one of them. I'm not fooled, and I took you through some of the ways that I look at data points and start to get a picture. Are there any tells? And what I mean by tells is this: these are narrative destroyers. These are data points that start to you see the little man behind the curtain who's the Wizard of Oz. And I found a couple good ones I want to show you that are very interesting. Oh, I forgot to pull something up. Yeah, maybe I'll do it in a little bit. But here we go. What is the fruit of this? What's the outcome of this? They're ramping things up. Republicans now coalesce around gun control. Interesting. Big red letters. They're caving in. Your representatives, who are supposed to be the bastion of helping to maintain in the United States the right to bear arms, is a right. And the amendment, I hear it misquoted all the time. It's your constitutional right. No, it's your God-given right. And the amendment, the Second Amendment, protects you from those who would infringe upon your rights. Make no mistake, your rights are God-given rights, and that amendment is to protect you from infringement on your rights. It's again, the way that people talk about it is you can tell they've been under the influence of mind control. It's like somebody, they're a smoker. They walk in, they smell like smoke. When you hear people say, blah, 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 our democracy, blah, 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 defending democracy, they smell like smoke because they smell like the mind control that's working in them. Or they're outright deceivers. Some of them are deceivers. Some of them know what they're doing. Watch the movie They Live. It's very instructive. So here we go. This is, you have the president. I just don't have the energy or the, I guess you'd say, mental focus to really drill down on some of these things. All the world's a stage, you hear me say, and I don't want to get boring for those who've watched a number of these because I repeat myself a bit, but it's the same song and dance every time. And he's up there now talking about, he made a speech about we've got to do something, and we've got to do something, social media, violent video games, and mentally ill. And we need red flag laws is what they're calling them, red flag laws. Now, what's that mean? It means somebody says something, really what it comes down to, someone perceives that someone is a danger, and they alert authorities, or the authorities themselves have decided that there's a red flag here, that they can take them, they can prevent them from getting guns, they can incarcerate them in a mental institution involuntarily. They're openly talking about this, and I'm talking the president. And where does that lead? What's slippery? So who's decide who's mentally ill? Let me tell you, Uncle Benny is a thought criminal. Yeah, I'm a habitual offender. Are you? If you're not, maybe you're the salt who's lost their saltiness and is good to be trodden underfoot. And you will be. And you will be. Make no mistake. Helter Skelter's coming down fast. Right? And maybe I'm miles above you. This is advanced. I shouldn't have to do all your thinking for you. And again, maybe that sounds arrogant and condescending. You know what? When you've been trying to tell people, for example, that 9/11 is not what they tell you in the 9/11, I can't even think of the name of the report. the official report, 9/11 Commission report, whatever it's called, that it's something else. And to keep it short and simple and sweet, an inside job. Okay. When I tell you that, or I've been telling people that, back in the day, I guess I got on Facebook back in 2008 or 9, whenever it came out, and I'm pretty much, a lot of times I'm ahead of the curve as far as learning about stuff, and I didn't get into it for a couple years, but then I don't know how or where, but maybe around 2010 or 11, and boy, it was like Old Home Week or something. I mean, everybody was just you were getting friended by everybody you ever went to school with, ever knew, or that who knew someone Pretty soon you've got 200, 400, 500, 600 friends, whatever, Anyway, I recognized right away what was going on with this Facebook tool. It's a spy tool. And I also recognized the potential, the power of it to relate to people. And I would do, there was a lot of experimentation going on as far as how to do it effectually, what to do, what to share, how to frame things, whatever. But anyway, I learned, first of all, there are people who will waste your precious time debating you. They have no intention of ever reasoning with you. There's a very big difference between debate and reason. There are people who will just out of hand label you nut job, and maybe that's what you're afraid of, because I do have some viewers on these videos, but I don't know anybody that's sharing them. In fact, I rarely get a like on them. I might have a video that's been seen 21 times. Well, that sounds like it's a tiny number, but think about that. 21 people who watch some portion of it can't even get a like. Maybe you're afraid. Fear not. Be not ashamed. Do you have faith or not? Do you believe or not? If this stuff resonates with you, if it makes sense to you, I'd encourage you to share it. Not because I want to be a professional YouTuber. I don't really want to be a professional YouTuber. I don't. I marvel at the people who, that's what they do. I guess that's kind of neat, for better or for worse, some of them. But that's not my thing. I never wanted to become a movie producer or a television show producer or something like that. And making these videos, I mean, it's sort of like that, right? But as I've said before, I do this this is like a devotional in a sense, and it's kind of working with the Word of God. It's my own way of, I'm just articulating how, when I read the news, how I've come to learn to frame it, because I realize it's skewed. Anyway, so let's just move on here. It's 8:41. Let me try to wrap this up in 20 minutes. Probably gonna not happen, but so I shared this the other day. Business Insider. You can barely see the title back here because I have an ad blocker. I don't want to undo it. I don't know why I didn't have an ad blocker. I had it before. Maybe I used different. I don't know. Whatever. But since I put this in, this wouldn't let me pull this up. I don't want to turn it off because if I look at other things, then I'm clicking ads. You've seen me have to do it. That cover the page. Anyway, you can barely see it in the background. The NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, legalizes the use of propaganda on the U.S. public. I went through this, how this basically, this was in 2012, this article. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go over here. Now, this is 2013. U.S. repeals propaganda ban, spreads government-made news to Americans. Now, this article is July 14th, 2013. The prior one may have been in July, but it was in 2012 for sure. And it's interesting. I kind of scanned through this. It's a long article as well. It actually kind of spins it, saying, oh, it's not so bad. There's some benefits to this, and it's not what people are saying in their criticism. Yes, it is. Okay. So what does this mean for today and these shootings and things we see on the Drudge Report and whatnot? Well, here's even a related article. Russian disinformation distorted reality in Ukraine. Americans should take note. Anyway, we all have probably, if you're of any if you're not like in your 20s or something, you remember the Cold War. You might remember Pravda and hearing about Russian propaganda to their citizens, you know. Well, you really think you're free? You really think that you have it any better? Which nation is the biggest threat to the kingdom of darkness? Well, anyway, let me show you something. And this is quite alarming. So if you've never seen this before, maybe this will open up your eyes a little bit. So we're going to play this. Now, I went looking for the original. This is, I don't know who this guy is, but he basically does have the original video, but there's no link to it, and I couldn't spend more time looking for it. But I've seen this before, and you should pay attention to this for a minute and marvel.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about troubling, irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Okay, now I think that's the original one I've seen, but some of the, when they did the they were saying all saying the same thing, but it did seem a little, some of it was a little muddy. I think I've seen a better version. No doubt somebody else has put together a compilation like this. I mean, why not? Because there's material to do it with. So now, when I did pull this up, the first time I saw this, I don't know how long ago it was, but well over a year ago, it seems. When I went looking for it, I didn't remember where it was, what the name of the video was, or whatever. Excuse me. And I found a lot of defending this Sinclair script. So there's a company, Sinclair Media or something like that, who own the largest number of news stations, I guess. And I guess, just again, this was just a cursory scanning of some of these titles and some of the descriptions as I was looking for the original and didn't want to spend a bunch of time on it. And again, this was all I used, news script compilation. Okay, so let me hit search. So viral video raises worry of Sinclair's political messaging. So Sinclair Broadcast Group, that's what it is, nation's largest owner of televised stations, and they get into like a third of the homes. Saw that somewhere in here as I was scanning for this. So the thing is that a lot of these, there's defense for it. It's being spun as not as bad as when you watch that, it ought to have sickened you if you've never seen that or realized that before, that the news is, it's coming out of a central office. Basically, they're telling them what to tell you, telling you what to think and believe. Anyway, so of course, this, I'm sure, has been folded into Trump's fake news stuff and all that. But the fact is, who knows how long that's been going on? Who knows how, unless you're going to go through and go to all the stations and put something like this together. I don't know what your favorite news outlet is, but you should not trust these people, these lying deceivers, these whores. They're whores, people. There are people, a lot of them in the news are whores. They're getting a paycheck, great job. They've got notoriety, fame, whatever, esteem in their community. And they're basically just doing a role with no integrity, many of them. Once some of them get integrity, they walk off the job. Maybe they make a statement at the desk and leave in the mid-broadcast, or they get fired, you know. Anyway, interesting, by the way, that in that clip, it was all, they were all saying, one of the things they chose to, this is extremely dangerous to our democracy. You know, I've been saying that lately, that anybody doing that, this is not a democracy. Democracy is mob rule, really, right? Anyway, so there you go. I just wanted to frame that with, you need to be aware that now also propaganda of you is legal. That means that the powers that shouldn't be, can do to you and me, and the American public, what they do in other countries, whether it's creating a fake newspaper or creating a what do you call it? A protest of some, funding people to protest or even instigate violence in a protest, creating situations that are manufactured, or even reporting stories with spin or even complete fabrications to sway your opinion, to keep you in line. When you hear me say sway your opinion, you may instantly think of, oh, you know, so you vote a certain way. No, brothers and sisters, a lot of times it's just to keep us, the Artemis direction, keep us thinking about this, keep us down and out, keep us from rebelling. So, yeah, here's the stuff about that I found pulling up. I don't know that I want to get into that. Let me kind of review here what I've got here. All right, that's a duplicate. Let's see here. Don't necessarily need to talk about that. I know. Let me just go to the probably the most powerful thing that.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica.
We already talked about that. Oh yeah, here we go. So actually, I can clean this up a little bit. Let me do this. By the way, you see, if you notice that, I own my Windows, but there's a glitch. Anyhow, okay, so while I'm here, so I'll talk about this. First of all, the Artemis direction, okay? Everyone's, even the president is going down to where these shootings happened, and there's a lot of drama. Oh, you're not welcome in this town. I mean, it's just a lot of, it's theater of the absurd, okay? And how many people were killed in Ohio and Texas combined? 30, 29, 31, something like that. The Artemis direction. Be afraid, right? Let me tell you how many people every day. This is how many daily abortions in the U.S. Loveland Abortion uses 3,000 in their estimate. I have not read this, but this is important piece of information. There are two basic sources for abortion statistics: Centers for Disease Control, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and the Guttmacher Institute. Now, one thing that we need to be mindful of is that, here's abortion statistics, okay? California, can you see my cursor here? California, Maryland, and New Hampshire do not currently report to the CDC on abortion surveillance. So we are missing 3 states and their abortion counts, okay? So 1970, there were almost 200,000. Let's go down to the latest that we have here, 638,000. This is 4 years ago. 638,169. Now, I got to do the math again. I didn't write it all down. Let's just put in 638, 169. Here, I'll do it over here so you can see it too for your very own God-given eyes. Divided by 365 days in a year, right? 1,748 people are killed by abortion every day. Let's see, it's 8:54 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know the hours of abortion clinics. Let's say they're from 8 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon, or 8 to 4, or 9 to 5. Somewhere in the Eastern Standard Time Zone, somebody's got a 9 a.m. appointment to have their uterus scraped out of a child. And I don't know how many of the 1,748 will be having a 9 o'clock appointment. But in the next hour, hundreds of potential human beings that God has been knitting together in the womb are being killed. So over the course of 2 days this past weekend, a very low odds situation of someone being a victim of a mass shooter happened twice, and 29, 30 people were killed. And the nation is going to, everyone's afraid. I was doing my grocery shopping yesterday and happened to be standing next to someone, and, well, I can't remember how it all came up, but she was a lady quite a few years older than me, but she was toeing the line of being afraid to go anywhere. You know, I think I referred the movie Network to her. She said she remembered seeing it years and years and years ago. I said, watch it again. And I don't know what all I told her, but, you know, basically, I think I reassured her, hopefully, that you don't need to be afraid. I didn't get into whether or not it was real or fake or they're real victims, but I think I know what I said to her. I reminded her, it's like, look, you've got more of a chance of being struck by lightning, you know. Anyway, another thing that happened yesterday, which I don't have specific statistics for this, but this happens to me quite often enough. I'm going down the road. In fact, I don't even ride my bicycle anymore. I used to like to get exercise that way. One reason, it kind of takes a lot of time, but probably the primary reason is that in the last 2 years especially, I've hardly gone out without some woman with her nose down towards her lap, starting to veer over the center line, coming right at me, whether I'm driving or, you know, well, usually when I'm driving. But it's also made me realize, it's like, man, somebody can veer off just a little bit to the right if they're coming behind me and I'm going with traffic, and something could happen very bad, you know, for them and for me. I don't want to be run over. I don't want to be hit. I don't want to be injured in any major way like that. And I certainly wouldn't want somebody making a dumb mistake like that to live with that for the rest of their life. If they killed me or maimed me or something like that, it'd be horrible. But anyway, think about this. This is 4 years ago. Well, now we've got a higher population. Now, there's other statistics. Let's see what else I pulled up here that may be of interest. Okay, this one's not formatted well enough. Okay, well, this is, why do abortions occur? In 2004, this is 15 years ago, the Guttmacher Institute anonymously surveyed over 1,200 post-abortive women from 9 different abortion clinics across the country. Of the women surveyed, 957 provided a main reason for having an abortion. This table lists each reason and percentage of respondents who chose it. So less than 0.5%. Now remember, that's not that's not 5%. It's 0.5%. Okay? That's not even 1%. That's half of 1% are victims of rape. Let's see. The number one not ready for a child, 25%. Number 23%, can't afford a baby. Right? There's other reasons, but for the interest of time, again, this probably, you could extrapolate this out, plus or minus so much, for the entire 650-some thousand women who had abortions, in 2015. Who knows what the numbers are, but I doubt it deviates way too much. At any rate, here's a lack of faith, isn't it? Lack of faith, a lack of wisdom. Even if we make a mistake, how many women, or how many people women who considered having an abortion and didn't at the last minute, then they were so glad they didn't. Or how many people had a botched abortion or failed abortion and they lived, and there are these testimonies. They look back and it's like you see what they became, and they didn't have great circumstances or whatever to start, but when your mother and father forsake you, the Lord will take you up, Bible say. It's one thing. Another thing is that he makes paths for us in the wilderness. Now, I've not been in this position. I can understand the immense uncertainty, Anyway, I don't want to get caught up in this. I've got 1 minute to be done at 9, so that's not going to happen. Let me see here. Nope, I'm going to close that. Yeah, here's cyclist fatalities. So I want to go through this. Again, we're talking about the art of misdirection. Think about what's been in the news, what you're hearing about, what's giving you anxiety, maybe even conflicts. Do you have conflicts about the gun control? Are you saying to people, are you commenting, are you like hedging and compromising? You say, yeah, we need to do something. I mean, I'm not for taking guns away. I'm not for registering guns, but yeah, we need to have better background checks, and we need these red flag laws if they can craft them right, Really? 2017, 777 U.S. fatalities. So basically, that's an easy enough number to remember. A little over 2 per day of people die riding their bike. So in a month, that's 60 people. Well, this month we've had 30 people, mass shootings that I know of. I know there's people like George Stephanopoulos saying we've had 250 shootings a year, or mass shootings this year alone, 2019. It's August. So first week of August, we've had 200 plus mass. No, that's not true. That's a distortion, isn't it? It's a distortion. Really? 200 mass shootings like a massacre? Come on. So anyway, there you go. People being 2 killed on the Garlic Festival. 2 people killed plus the shooter. Now I know there were people injured, but 2 people killed on a bike a day. But remember the Garlic Festival shooting? Oh, it was a portent of these next 2, but it's part of the flood. Again, I've said that I do believe as these continue, which they usually do, that they will double down. There'll be they'll be like back-to-back, or even more vulnerable targets, like, I hate to say this, but like a hospital, nursing home. These places where people are helpless and vulnerable. There may be even one of these wicked, dark people monitoring my video and getting an idea for their wickedness. May God thwart their plans. May they repent, because they're going to hell. And it won't be long. And they don't know the day or the hour that the Son of Man cometh. Whether he's coming in the sky and they're still walking upright, or whether they drop dead tomorrow of a heart attack, or get hit riding their bike, or, whatever happens to them. And I'm talking to you, you analysts and deceivers and statists who are working for those who are invading privacy, censoring people, taking away their right to think and free speech. I'm talking to you. Repent, for you get cast into the lake of fire and are dead forever. Face judgment. You're going to face judgment. Judge yourselves and you won't be judged. Realize what you're doing wrong. That's what the Bible say. Realize the evil. Give them your 2 weeks notice. Quit that job. Get right with the Lord. Now, some of you watching this may say, well, you only have 20. Oh, you really think you must be important? Do you realize how that I already said buzzwords that can trigger the algorithms to filter it up to an analyst? Really? You don't think so? So anyway, those things can happen. They'll happen more. It's almost a certainty because they will keep happening until the mission is accomplished. Now that obviously indicates the premise that these things are staged. And staged doesn't mean no one ever dies. Staged means that it's planned, pre-planned, it's calculated, it's an attack. It's an attack not by some lone wolf, voices in the head hearing extreme, obsessive person with certain ideologies and things like that. No, these people are... I read to you from Behold a Pale Horse of someone who was in U.S. Naval Intelligence who wrote about what they're doing, what they've done, what they do is mentally ill, some of the mentally ill, how they can control. Going back, I think the movie came out in the 50s about Manchurian Candidate. I mean, gosh, I get a little bit, I was talking about posting on Facebook years ago and having, friends and people from the past and everything. And I finally got to the point where, I don't really know anybody I know on social media anymore. I don't know them. I don't want to know them. I got rid of all the people that, quote unquote, and think they know me. It's just a lot of, what does it say? Bible say a prophet is not recognized in his hometown, his native home, Well, am I a prophet? That's not, it has broader applications, okay? And the point being is that people call you, it's difficult. People will start to, they're not comfortable. In fact, in all likelihood, you're not comfortable. You're so uncomfortable, you wouldn't dare to share this video. You would not, because you'd be guilty by association, Well, I would encourage you to just say, I don't agree with everything he says, but this guy has some interesting things to say, and share it. That's perfectly acceptable, Do that. Honestly, I don't care if you say this guy's a conspiracy theorist and a nut job. This guy's a wacko. Get a load of this guy. Go ahead. Go ahead. The power of the word of the Lord is a sword. It's a two-edged sword. It splits. When I read it, it's living. And there are people who hear it. And you may be an instrument in converting them. Just by that. Just by one word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and settings of silver, Bible say. You think about that. But don't be a coward. Are you ashamed of the gospel of Christ? Are you ashamed of maybe I'm reading King James, or I'm using, the first 10, 15 minutes as kind of churchy? Are you ashamed? Well, the Bible say he'll be ashamed of you before his Father. You want that? Yeah. Another thing I thought to say, just throw this in there, then we'll move on to the next one. If your pastor doesn't equip you or talk about this kind of stuff, he gets up there on Sunday, presumably, Sunday morning, makes a lot of jokes, tries to be really friendly and entertaining, and gives you a lighthearted sermon, reads you from the Message Bible or the NIV and all these kinds of things. And again, I'm not like a King James only type of person, but there's problems with those Bibles. And I'm not saying to abandon that church, but take heed that no man deceive you. People can lie by omission, right? What are they not telling you? Do you have that guy on a pedestal? Well, he went to Duke, he went to whatever Bible college, he went to whatever seminary school, he's got a doctorate in theology. Yeah. But there's living water coming out of his mouth. It's coming out of his belly. When he opens his mouth, does the sword of truth come out? Does he say hard sayings? No? Watch out. You may just have a wolf in sheep's clothing. You may have a Jesuit infiltrator. You may have one Jesuit trained who doesn't know he's just Jesuit trained. Watch out. Anyway, moving on. Cyclists, 2 per day. Motor vehicle fatalities. Here you go. Here's something you probably deal with every day. You get in your car. Well, 2018, 36,350 people. That's the statistic. Let's just punch it in. 36,000. It's easy enough. Didn't you go to the government re-education camps? At least they taught you how to do math. Excuse me. 36,750 divided by 365. How many per day across this great land? It's just the United States. Almost 101. Just let's round it. 100 people a day, per day. So right now, people on their way to work, let's divide this by 8 hours divided by, well, let's just say 12 hours, daylight hours, okay? Every hour. So ever since 6 a.m., there's been about 24, 25 people already killed. Maybe a whole family at once. Maybe somebody's husband. Maybe somebody his wife just had a baby. Maybe a pregnant woman. Maybe a couple that's pregnant on the way to the hospital to deliver a baby. But 30 people get killed in a weekend in one of the rare shootings. You say, well, they're not rare. We have like 6 a year or mass shooting. Yeah, well, it's a nation of 300 million people. How many towns, cities, Walmarts, churches, schools, da-da-da? What are the odds of you getting shot in a mass shooting? You might. But for those who live in Christ, to die is gain. Right? Again, don't go flying out of the back of the wagon. Thoughts, you lost your mind there. Not advocating jump off a cliff or jump in front of a train or a bus or go get a gun and blow your head off or take a bunch of pills because to die is gain. That's the kind of arguments you have with people who are, they'll just subvert to or revert to some ridiculous objection or argument, and it's like, don't never argue with them. Bible say, don't answer a fool according to his folly. It also says, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. But those are worth studying commentary on, and really using wisdom to know when to answer someone and when not to. Because one of the things that a lot of people do, I've done it myself, is you cast your pearls before swine. Bible say don't cast your pearls before swine. Bible say when the master said to the disciples, if they won't hear you, shake the dust of your feet off at them and leave. Recognize, brothers and sisters, when you're talking to somebody who has a seared conscience, a reprobate mind, and a hardened heart, that your seed will not find purchase. Now, it doesn't mean you don't cast your seeds liberally, but don't sit there and waste your precious time with someone whose mind is already made up. Don't confuse me with the facts. My mind is made up. You may also be talking to someone who's demonically possessed, and that's who you're talking to. Well, do you know how to cast out a demon? Do you know how to recognize when someone's being demonically influenced or possessed? Pray for discernment. All right, so we talked about that. Here's the abortion statistics. But one last thing on this. Up to 2015, 45 million. Well, let's just round it up. 45 million, almost 46 million, right? That's more population than many countries. How much talent? What kind of productivity? What kind of ideas? What kind of people were aborted? But yet these quote-unquote mass shootings where 3 to 50 people are shot up in any given one, it can't ever be a super, super big number, because then they would have to have multiple shooters, for one thing. Number two, that would be a reflection that law enforcement, not only, sure, they quote-unquote can't protect you, and that's part of the game here, but it would be so egregiously late or having no control of the situation that would reflect badly. So numbers will probably be more like that. Generally, they have been, and probably that's what'll continue. I mean, they've studied this thing; they have it worked out. This is just an observation of mine. But the point being is that everyone's losing their heads, and everyone's telling all the liars and deceivers are telling people what to think and feel, and people who don't think and their feelings are controlled, they're reactive. It works them over. Let's be critical thinkers. God did not give us a mind and reason and expect us to forego their use. That may not be the exact way Galileo Galilei said that, So here we go. By the way, I'll just have this up. This is U.S. Debt Clock. If you've never seen it before, usdebtclock.org. Look how that number's spinning. This is pretty accurate, using a lot of things. You can read about it. You can go check it out yourself. usdebtclock.org, and just look at this: 22 trillion. The slavery debt per citizen. If you're a U.S. Resident citizen here, right now you owe $68,515. If you're a taxpayer, which you probably are, you actually owe almost $200,000. That's your fair share. You want to pay your fair share? Pony up. Now, who is doing this? Trumpsters. Well, he inherited that from Obama. Yeah? Well, wasn't he just talking about don't talk about not raising the debt ceiling? And is he doing anything to abolish the Federal Reserve? Is he doing anything to even audit the Federal Reserve, as Ron Paul used to call for? Audit them. Anyway, I just want to touch on that. So one last thing, I guess, and maybe I should end it. There's a lot to talk about, but I want to keep it. I need to, I've skidded over the finish line here. I want to be done with this. Lot to say, but this guy, Jim Watkins, sorry for the inconvenience, common sense will prevail. So what's happened is, you've heard people talk about, there was a news article, I think I covered it before in one of the most recent videos, that this company, let's see if we see the name of it, something Crossfire or whatever. There was one of the host servers, I guess, of the 8chan place, which is a message board basically where the QAnon situation, 4chan and 8chan, have found their home. And interestingly enough, this is where the media has pushed the narrative that the El Paso guy, El Paso mass murderer and demoniac, if indeed he did anything other than just participate as an actor. Why do I say that? Well, if you've seen the other videos, you know that many witnesses literally saw and reported very calmly what they saw, just facts reported they saw. Multiple people come in with rifles dressed in black and headgear. I mean masks, only showing their eyes, like wearing a baklava. I always want to say the Greek dessert balaclava. There you go. Way to go. So anyhow, this guy right here, retired U.S. Army veteran, by the way, for those who care about that kind of thing, he owns, I forgot his first name, Jim Watkins, and his channel is Watkins Xerxes. Apparently he owns 8chan. So if you watch this 7-minute video, I'm not going to play it. He basically says, look, this was not uploaded by the guy to 8chan. It was uploaded to Instagram. Someone else uploaded it to 8chan, not the shooter guy. But remember, this is a host of the QAnon group. So what does that tell you? That's a data point, isn't it? That's indicative. That's a problem. Why would they want to saddle 8chan with hosting that manifesto thing? It makes it look, again, the narrative is that all the people who are Q people, most of what did the witch Hillary say? And I don't mean that as any kind of pejorative. It's like, that woman, you don't think she's a Kabbalist? You don't think she worships Lucifer? think again. It's not to say Trump doesn't either, by the way. At any rate, my point is that she called a couple years ago. I don't have the video pulled up. You can watch it. You can still find it. She said half of Trump's supporters are racist, Islamophobes, xenophobes, and then she rattled off a couple other ones, homophobes, and then said, you name it, right? The deplorables. You can call them the basket of deplorables. Half of them, right? Well, by extension, she's also making these people, it's the white nationalists. Now nationalism, by the way, which is make America great again, the borders, that's nationalism. It's been conflated to white nationalism. It's all mind control, deception, totalitarian two-step. It's scientific social engineering and mind control, right? So, at any rate, just so you know, this guy comes out 7 minutes and he talks about the fact that you're being bullshitted. Yeah, occasionally I need to use a word like that. You're being, you're being bullshitted. And he's right. So the next thing I want to play for you, let me see. I may not even have to, yeah, I don't. The video I told you about. So let me put in BBC WT7. Okay, what is this, Uncle Benny? Well, back in 2001, on the day the World Trade Center was demolished, excuse me, may not be able to find it now. Here we go. BBC's Jane Stanley reports collapse of World Trade Center 7, 20 minutes early. Now, World Trade Center 7 didn't collapse till 5 something in the afternoon. When you see her, it's a 7-minute video. Let's see. This one's okay. I don't know who this channel is, but this one's 2 minutes long. Let's just see if let's see if this one will do it for us. Okay, so here's the Twin Towers, right?
Now, more on the latest building collapse.
This is a German,
I've heard a few moments
you might
ago,
call him truther,
about the Salomon
obviously,
Brothers building
German.
collapsing. And indeed it has. Apparently that's only a few hundred yards away from where the World Trade Center towers were. And it seems that this was not a result of a new attack. It was because the building had been weakened during this morning's attacks. We'll probably find out more now about that from our correspondent, Jane Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers?
Now remember, this is being reported live. This is a live news broadcast at BBC. She's standing there, and out behind her, this is the BBC correspondent in New York, and out the window you can see the smoke from the towers smoldering. They've collapsed already. And we'll see, hopefully they point out behind her where World Trade Center 7 is still standing.
Brothers building and its collapse.
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy. There's almost a sense downtown in New York behind me, down by the World Trade Centers, of just an area completely closed off as the rescue workers try to do their job. But this isn't the first building that has suffered as a result. We know that part of the Marriott Hotel next to the World Trade Center also collapsed as a result of this huge amount of falling debris from 110 floors of the two twin towers of the World Trade Center. As you can see behind me, the Trade Center appears to be still burning. We see these huge clouds of smoke and ash, and we know that behind that there's an empty piece of what was a very familiar New York skyline, a symbol of the financial.
Okay, this is in German. Glad they did point it out. This building right here, if you ever watch it collapse, it looks like them. It looks like when they collapsed the one of the hotel or one of the casinos in Las Vegas. I mean, it's just telltale. It only had smoldering fires, just some fires. Wasn't hit by a plane or anything. What happened to World Trade Center 7? There's one of your there's your thread that unravels the whole sweater. Okay, if you have problems with that, you really need to go back to this. So anyway, this is World Trade Center 7. It does collapse, but let's listen.
Prosperity of this city, but completely disappeared now, and New York is still unable to take on board what has happened to them today.
Okay, it's in German. Hopefully they go on. There should be another minute here because she does mention it. Well, I didn't win the lottery on this one. I picked German, and they're relying a lot on what the... I don't read this. I think it's German. Okay, there's not... all right, it's all the language here. At any rate, you can look into it, okay? Let's see here. Here, let me just see here. We do need to see it.
New York have been hit by airplanes. In Washington, there have been...
I say, no, I didn't see that. It's not very hit.
There's World Trade Center 7 again, okay? The BBC reported the collapse before the building actually fell. Now, I want to play it because the cognitive dissonance in many people will be like, if they don't see it, they won't believe it. And even then, the rationalizations will come in. It's like, well, how do I know that was 20? It was, okay?
Healthy, to lie to yourself. I say, no, I didn't see that.
In Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Okay, well, Salomon Brothers building. All right, let's just look it up. Let's make sure, let's just be thorough, right? I believe that is the World Trade Center. Unless, again, didn't sleep a lot. They may be talking. He did say building singular. Well, here's W. It talks about it. Salomon Brothers building. All right, maybe this will be help. So here again, there's the same lady. Archive footage of television broadcasts from 9/11/2001 shows BBC reporting the collapse of WC about 23 minutes before it actually occurred. So the reason I was looking into Salomon Brothers because it's been a long time, years since I've even watched this, and it may be that she reports it. Well, here you go. No, there you go. You can barely see it here. The 47-story Salomon Brothers building close to the World Trade Center has also collapsed. So I was looking for something like that. So they didn't call it WT7, but it is the 47. Remember, the World Trade Center was like 90 plus. I don't remember how many stories, but over 90 stories, 100 something. So it says 47-story Salomon Brothers building close to the World Trade Center has collapsed. It's right there. It's right behind her. It has not collapsed yet. Now, what is the relevance to this, to the El Paso and the other shooting? What I'm about to play you, okay, is a tell. You could say it's just one data point, but when you put it in the context of the antecedent of this happening with WTC7, and also the fact of when I started the video, I showed you how the media is scripted, okay? So here she says, without playing the video, I'll just read to you. We'll leave it there for the moment. We've got some news just coming in, actually, that the Salomon Brothers building in New York, so that's WTC7, right in the heart of Manhattan, has also collapsed. This does fit with the warning from the British Foreign Office a couple of hours ago to British citizens that there's a real risk. Let me get the exact words. There was a strong risk of further atrocities in the United States. It does seem as now there's another one with the Salomon Brothers building collapsing. Let's see. Now remember, this is like 5 p.m. right here, 4:57 p.m. The building didn't collapse until like 5:20 or something, or it was later. 27 minutes, I think we read. Okay, so anyway, you look into it, but remember the context, what we're talking about here, and that is that the news is scripted. That there's so many tells that are telling us that this kind of thing was potentially a false flag of some kind, meaning that they blame it on the guy. People may or may not have died. We're going to assume they did really die for now, even though there's a lot of indications that things don't look right there. Lack of ambulances, lack of blood and bodies, you know, people with bullet holes in their leg and hardly any blood, and it is strange. People walking around Walmart with doing a selfie video. There's a black guy, I don't remember his name, but I wanted to play that at some point, but he walks around and he's, you know, here's somebody doing a shoot 'em up, and he's got himself doing a selfie video walking around. Really? It's absurd. Remember the theater of the absurd. So I'm going to give you this is Fox 14. I think it's out of Amarillo, maybe. It's a big, when I play you this, well, I'll tell you, I looked for the actual footage. This is someone, occasionally people, they've learned that they need to sometimes videotape the news, but they don't have the skill or the equipment to record the video, right? So they just video with their cell phone, and I think that's what's going on here. But this video surfaced, I came across it yesterday, and it'll probably disappear, be very hard to find. Already, well, this is what I was going to say. The real story to get, I don't know if you could get it from the news station or not without them telling you that they don't have any tapes of it, or it was deleted, or, you know, whatever. That would be the likely scenario. Because it's not on their Facebook page. I looked through it right down to the right times. I've looked on YouTube. I looked everywhere I could think to look without spending a day doing it. And you can't find it. Why not? A lot of their other news updates are there, their other live coverage. So let me turn this up so you can hear it, because the audio is kind of, I'm going to probably have to transcribe it a bit for you. So I'm going to hit play. And what it is a local news anchor, local to the area. I don't know if it's El Paso, Amarillo, something, but she reads a Twitter. She reads from her phone or iPad or whatever she's got there on her desk, or maybe the little video monitor, and saying that this just in kind of, that the Horizon Walmart. Now, what does that mean? So we need to look at that real quick. The Horizon Walmart. I've got that pulled up over here. Again, don't worry, my Windows is legitimate. Let's see here. I want to show you this. I looked at some stuff on the Ohio thing, and we're not talking about that today. Okay, that's a movie. Let's see here. All right, here's on YouTube is the same clip. I've downloaded it because it might disappear. Same one. Let's see. All right, here's Walmart Supercenter. This is all important. The clip's not very long, okay? She says Horizon Walmart. Walmart, so if you look up Horizon and Walmart, you get a Walmart that is on Horizon Boulevard in Horizon City, Texas. This news station is in Amarillo or El Paso, somewhere close, somewhere in the area. Here is the Walmart Supercenter, which looks like it's on the Chihuahua, Mexico border, New Mexico. It's in West Texas, right up here in the corner, right? Where's El Paso? It's not even a half hour away. Here is the Horizon City Walmart, or the town. Here is El Paso. Let's watch the clip.
Happened at the Walmart in Horizon. I'm not sure what time this tweet went out, however.
Okay, so I need to start it over because got some artifacts there.
Happened at the Walmart in Horizon. I'm not sure what time this tweet went out, however. Oh, okay, here it is, at 3 p.m. Well, that hasn't happened yet. Okay, so today it happened at the Walmart.
Okay, I'm gonna go through this again. For some reason, maybe just the video. So many things are open here, and one of them's even cycling. It's causing some artifacts, but it seems like it's up now. Now you can see this is a big screen TV on the wall. This is somebody who on their phone they circled 2:37 p.m. Now you could say, well, look, maybe the clock on her phone is off. This woman will read about the Horizon Walmart in a shooting and then say this was tweeted out, so I don't know when it came out. You know, she's trying to identify when did it start, and then she's like, oh, that hasn't even happened yet. think about this. Remember the context. The antecedent with the W Trade Center, them reporting that it collapsed almost a half an hour before it did. And then the context of what did I show you about the news being scripted? Okay. She got this a little too early.
Happened at the Walmart in Horizon. I'm not sure what time this tweet went out. However, okay, here it is, at 3 p.m. Well, that hasn't happened yet. Okay, so today is the 3rd.
She gets confused. She's like, I'm not sure what time this tweet went out. 3 p.m. Oh, well, that hasn't happened yet. And you'll hear the gal watching the news react like, did you hear that?
This is 30.
Let's watch it again. Just watch it one more time.
Happened at the Walmart in Horizon. I'm not sure what time this tweet went out. However, okay, here it is, at 3 p.m. Well, that hasn't happened yet. Okay, so today is the 3rd. This is 30.
Okay, let's just call it a wrap for today. I got to get on my happy busy day. And go back to the other video. Read Beyond a Pale Horse. The link's in there. Nobody died at Sandy Hook. I linked that as well. You know, maybe watch this again. Some of this stuff, you won't get it. You'll have to see it again and again before all of a sudden, like a 3D poster that you have to unfocus your eyes, and then once your brain can comprehend it, you can't unsee it. And brothers and sisters, we need to be vigilant. We need to see what's going on around us. We need to have discernment. Pray for it. The Lord will give you wisdom and he'll give you discernment. Pray for the Holy Spirit of truth to fill you, to lead you, to guide you. You know, I can't keep up with all this stuff. This is a full-time job because those who study to do evil, they lose sleep unless they cause people to fall. We read that the other day, Bible say, right? They can't sleep because they're plotting mischief. And mischief sounds innocuous, like, oh, little children get into mischief. No, in the context of what that, it's real, it's evil. Mischief, you know, the Bible, at least King James Version, uses the word naughtiness. Well, it sounds like naughty, naughty, you know, like you'd say to a child. No, naughty is real bad. It's, you know, that's just the English, King's English at the time. But the real meaning of mischief and naughty in the context is pretty much wickedness, you know. Anyway, lots of news here you can't keep up with. Artemis direction, mind control, spin, propaganda. This is the most conservative news site in the world. Excuse me, I shouldn't say that. No, it's not. This is the biggest, most popular conservative news aggregate, is what I meant to say. Most trafficked. Let's see what, now they're talking about Republicans coalesce. Let's just check the view count. Yep, like I said, 30 to 31,000 generally is about where it is on a weekday. Seems to drop a little bit on the weekends. Thank goodness people take a break from the news. But I said 1,000 again. Way off, way off. Multiply that. 30, almost 31, well, not quite 30.5 million people in the past 24 hours. That's big medicine. So, anyway, lots to say, lots to talk about here. Lots to talk about. But, you know, ain't nobody got time for that. The powers that shouldn't be do. They've got unlimited funds. They don't worry about, they've got people to do their bidding. This has been a cabal that's been working since the dawn of man. How can you say that, Uncle Benny? Because Lucifer is the prince and power of the air. We war not against flesh and blood, but principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places. The Western world is run by Luciferians. Many are pederasts, meaning well, you look up the word. We see the scandals, we hear about them, Pizzagate, stuff like that. A lot of spin on that. Now remember, probably the most important thing out of this video is the deal when I showed you the scripting of the news, the mind control there, right? And the issue about it's legal now to propagandize Americans. So basically, under the color of law, you can be lied to. That's what it comes down to. Under the color of law. There are those who believe that one day, they'll kill you and believe they're doing God a service. Okay? Meditate on that. All right, well, I guess I could go on and on. Who knows how long this video would have been if I wasn't, a bit weary. Had trouble getting a good night's sleep last night. Not because of worry. I think maybe it was something I ate, Anyhow, too much protein maybe. So make a great day, Forget it. You've heard enough news today. In fact, don't even watch my videos the rest of the week if I make any. It's too much. You can only take so much. I'd say, get rid of Netflix, get rid of these things. Pray to be hungry for the Word of God. I know I did, and some time ago, not that long ago, where I'm like, man, I got literal dust on my Bible. Sure, I've got computer access and phone access to a Bible app or whatnot, but there's nothing like that paper book, flipping those pages. You get muscle memory of where things are. That's what I'm talking about. I've said it's like I know things, but I'm kind of rusty. It's like I need to, I want to be able to look them up. Make sure I've got them not in half sentences or vaguely recollect. I gotta refresh, gotta renew my mind. And I prayed for that, and here I go, a couple months ago, started this channel back in November with one idea, but after several months, what it turned into is like, I do this when I look at the news and there's a need for it. There's a huge need for the news to be framed with the Word of God. I'd say odds are real high. Your pastor, your preacher doesn't do that whatsoever. Oh, there may be a semblance. He may get up and remark with a false premise about what happened this weekend. Maybe that's what happened. Well, I'm trying to think. What happened on Saturday? It was Saturday, and I think there was another one early hours Sunday. Yeah, by Sunday morning, this past Sunday, a couple of days ago, they may have been able to work that into their message and lament and cluck their lips, cluck their tongue. That's what I'm trying to say. Cluck their tongue, and what a shame. What times we're living in. Oh, woe is us. Oh, but the Lord's in control. Well, is that all they're going to say? Did they go to Matthew 74 and say, take heed that no man deceive you, and be careful what you believe, folks? And maybe you need to look at this story at arm's length and think critically because of what we're living in. Our nation's under siege with mind controllers, deceivers, people who are taking away, who have destroyed your privacy, who are spying on you left and right. What am I talking about? Well, here, I didn't even get into this. Look, this was just today. Probably the reason it was on the Drudge is because it had the word sex in it. I'm sure that Matt Drudge, he pulls up and peppers his aggregate with seedy story, licentiousness, lasciviousness, and prurient stuff. It's a distraction. It's whatever. But okay, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. We like to do that, don't we? We should give people the benefit of the doubt. This was more about privacy and stuff. But here's the news: Alexa sex ban. Amazon forced to give Alexa users, Alexa, it's that device you can say, Alexa, ask it a question or, play some music, whatever. I know someone who has one. I can't believe this person got one and, claims to, anyway, that's another story. And I hope they've gotten rid of it. Take it outside and run over it with your car, then throw it in the recycle bin. Yeah, maybe you spent $100 on, I don't know what they cost, all right? Well, Uncle Benny, your phone listens to you too. Well, you can change a lot of settings. Go into developer mode. Anyway, I'm going far afield here. Alexa sex ban. Amazon forced to give Alexa users the option to stop staff listening to recordings of them having recordings. I didn't even look at this. Recordings of them having sex. So Alexa isn't just listening live and then they, but the staff, it records somewhere. They're recording. Well, there's a little slip of the tongue, isn't it? There's a little bit of a tell. Remember, the Lord confounds those who do evil. They overplay their hand. Out of the heart the mouth speaks. I'm calling it right there. I don't really think that was intended to be put out there in this reporting of the story. Daniel Jones, consumer editor. Amazon forced to give Alexa users, the consumers, people who own the Alexa, put an option in there that many of them will never hear about, never know about, or not know how to do it, to stop staff listening to recordings of them having sex. Having sex, Does that mean just with them and their wife? Or with them doing things they could be blackmailed with? Of them masturbating or watching pornography? All of the above. How do they get people to do things? Participate in these scams? Blackmail's one way to do it. See how you bring it back around? What if somebody came up to you with you did something that you would never want anyone you know to ever know about, and they came up with a recording that you were videoed or your Alexa, and they said, look, we need you to do this, and you're going to do it, or this is going to your mother, to your wife, to your children, or your boss. See how it works? Well, the people are not that. Then you need to wake up. You got to wake up. You've got to realize your IQ is 40, and you can change that. You can change that. Stop being an imbecile. Stop being an idiot. Today, make up your mind. Decide about it. Amazon finally gave its Alexa users the option to block recordings of them having sex. Well, you can read it or not, and in the picture, the sun, well, here's something to stimulate you with, a nice picture of a woman being pleasured by this guy one way or the other. You know, come on. Here's another one in the throes of ecstasy. Look at her. This is soft porn, by the way. This little inset is so suggestive that it's soft porn. It's believe me, we're being bombarded all the time, overly stimulated. What am I trying to say? Constantly. Anyway, sorry, I can't think of the words I want to use. You know, the very fact you go through Walmart checkout line in the South, by the way, they cover up the Glamour magazine and 17 or whatever with like a black plastic thing because some of the titles of the articles are downright erotic literature almost. You know, and little children can read. Well, at least the Bible Belt has a little bit of decency about it. But everywhere else you go, you know, you go through the checkout line while you're waiting for that lady to, you know, put certain things on her EBT card that you're paying for and buy lottery tickets or whatever. You're looking around and reading the licentious titles that who knows what kind of, where those seeds are going to come up in your mind later in the day or the week or whatnot. Right? Oh, here we go. Uncle Benny's on a roll. So anyway, I thought I had another one, but there you go. Now, what was the context of this again? Did you forget already? Did you forget? I kind of forgot. I don't remember. I really went at it with the fury for a second. I forgot. Amazon is coaching cops on how to obtain surveillance footage without a warrant. I haven't read this. Do you think they really have to go and get your SD card? Are there ways for people to hack into your systems? Yeah. You know, but the righteous need not be ashamed. Fear no man. Fear the Lord, who is able to destroy. Don't fear those who can kill the body, who can kill your reputation, who can close down your bank account, whatever. Don't fear them. Fear the Lord, who's able to throw your body and soul into hell, destroyed forever, eternal death. And he's also in control, and he knows how to deliver. He knows how to make paths in the wilderness. He knows how to give you streams in the desert. He knows how to multiply that grain into many loaves of bread. All right, there you go. Make a great day. Thanks for coming out.